Okay, we're going to get started this morning. My name is Dr. Christina Luna, and I am a faculty member in the Department of Educational Leadership. I'm part of the P12 group. So welcome and thank you all for being here. I'm also a core member in the doctorate program in educational leadership. So I teach the policy course and curriculum. So thank you again for being here today. I'd like to welcome our presenters for Strand number 2, and I'll give them a formal introduction in a minute, but that's Dr. Ryan Eisele and Rosemary Wrenn. So thank you so much. And also a co-host with me today is Dr. Susan Trace. So thank you, Dr. Trace, for being here. Before we begin, if you could please mute your phones and turn any ringers off. Also, if you're having bandwidth problems or you can't hear, if you close some of your windows on your browser, that will help you. Or you can also turn off your video. That also strengthens your connection. So again, this is a live session. We're all being recorded. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Our presenters have about 15 minutes that they're going to present to us. Then we'll have about a 2 or 3 minute Q&A. So you can ask live questions if you want at the end, or you can write comments in the chat as we're moving along. So our first presenter towards racism as stance, white women teachers committed to transformation. And our presenter is Rosemary Wrenn. So welcome all. And I'm going to also be watching, I'm watching multiple screens. So Rosemary, you can share the screen and get us started. Again, thank you all for being here.
Sorry, now it's not letting me. Here we go. All right, hi and welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to my presentation of my dissertation work. I appreciate you being here. And the title of my research is Towards Anti-Racism as Stance, White Women Teachers Committing to Transformation. But just before we get started, I wanted to acknowledge that I'm coming to you today from Tilhini, the place of the full moon, which is the unceded land of the Yaktitutu, Yaktilhini, Northern Chumash tribe of San Luis Obispo County and region, and I am indebted to them and to their ancestors. America's teaching force doesn't represent the children in our classrooms. In California, over 60% of our teachers are white, while over 77% of our students identify as Black, Latinx, Asian, Indigenous, mixed, or other people of color. White teachers are not well equipped to navigate issues of race in the classroom, and as a result, we tend to perpetuate stereotypes in curriculum and pedagogy, hold low expectations for students, and fail to create culturally sustaining learning experiences. The existing literature shows that teachers ourselves have been socialized to be colorblind and color mute and to perpetuate biases, meaning that we're causing harm to the students we're meant to serve. Seeking to contribute some possible solutions, in this qualitative study, I explored ways to better train and support white women teachers to create more culturally sustaining learning spaces. We know that students find more success in community and classrooms with same-race teachers. But these teachers are difficult to recruit since students of color are shown from an early age that they don't belong in school through erasure or omission of their lived experience and low expectations of teachers and counselors who may explicitly tell their students not to bother taking rigorous courses because people like them don't go to college, just like what we heard this morning from Dr. Jimenez Sandoval. Without college, these students can't become teachers. Thus, it's imperative that we provide current and future teachers with the tools they need to better navigate issues surrounding race and racism in education, so that students from the earliest ages can see themselves as valued members of the educational community. As a teacher who identifies as a white woman, my own inquiry into how I understand my own position related to these issues led me to build my study around this question and sub-question. In what ways do teachers who identify as white women talk about how race guides their decisions related to pedagogy and matters of curriculum, instruction, and assessment? What conceptions do we have about race? And how do we talk about our own identities? This study is built on post-constructivist participant research, and context is crucial to making meaning of my data. The context is that white people have created a problem, and that problem is racism. While there are many definitions, I've chosen this one to share with you today. In just a few words, Aluyo communicates that racism goes beyond mere judgment or stereotype. It involves systems of power, invisible or otherwise, that subjugate individuals or groups of people to one another. Racism and white supremacy in America are intricately woven throughout the fabric of our systems and policies. These ideas are the foundation, both physically and figuratively, of our institutions and result in a cascade of negative impacts on the physical, emotional, and material well-being of people of color. Values of white supremacy show up in every aspect of America's educational system, from its origin as a means of perpetuating the wealth and power of white males, to the compounded impacts of practices like redlining and school funding we currently see. The IQ test and today's high-stakes exams further the false narrative of the innate ability of white people over everyone else. These exams inequitably favor white students who see themselves represented in the content, overwhelmingly enjoy the privilege of learning from same-race teachers, and generally have more access to preparation and extra support. Behavioral expectations designed to control young bodies and voices, the exclusion of different ways of knowing and being from our curriculum, and conditioning teachers to avoid addressing issues of race and racism in the classroom are just a few examples of why we need to better prepare our students to create culturally sustaining learning practices. With pressure to focus on more scientific approaches to education and assessment, we're literally training our teachers to be racist. In response to supposed reforms and a seeming effort to validate education in some quantitative way, teachers are being conditioned to standardize instruction and produce students who perform well on high-stakes tests, rather than critical thinkers or community builders. Our reliance on best practices implies there's one best approach to curriculum design and instruction. The teachers don't have the time or expertise to consider the lived experience of their students in choosing curriculum and instructional approaches. We find deficit language embedded in the very textbooks, like this one, from the course I teach, that we're trying to train our future teachers with. Language that places blame on and judges students and families using terms like apathy and learning loss and word gaps, among others, implying that family structures and cultural ways of knowing, rather than power imbalance and intentional exclusion, have created disparities in student success. These texts are full of coded language that deftly avoids directly addressing race and racism in the classroom, perpetuating the primacy of the individual and whiteness over many contributions and resilience of the communities of color to which most of our students belong. There has been a shift in some areas to more critical approach to teacher preparation. The reckoning of 2020 mobilized people whose privilege previously allowed them to ignore the historical injustice of this country to call for intentional inclusion and culturally sustaining pedagogies. However, this call to action has not been universally accepted, and attention is already beginning to wane. So this work is guided by the intersection of multiple theoretical frameworks and participant research. When I first described my research to a friend, she responded that it was radical. She was right. Radical challenge is necessary to transform this system that's not working for our students. And this calls for methods that disrupt our idea of the established academy. Like Angela Davis said, radical simply means grasping things at the root. This study challenges educators to get to the root of the problem. I combined elements of critical race, feminist, and Black feminist theory within the context of liberatory praxis. I sought to disrupt the status quo of color muteness, to transform the way we think about who creates knowledge, and to offer hope for the future of education to better serve our students of color. Beginning with my autoethnography in an effort to clarify the source of my own understanding of identity and my role in perpetuating and now aiming to act against racism, I employed the practitioner research approach of inquiry as stance. The results of my study evolved into a grounded theory, something that occurs when we make meaning from everyday experiences through deep inquiry and reflection, data analysis, taking action, ultimately arriving at what Freire called conscientization, also known as critical consciousness. Finally, I report my results in narrative form, telling a collective story of my own identity group as a vehicle for transformative change. This combined approach helped me address some of the questions that have been left in the gaps of prior research. I used purposive and snowball sampling to recruit participants who identify as white women and teach and live in a small semi-rural coastal community. All 7 teachers have over 10 years experience in public schools where the student population self-identifies as either predominantly white or a mix of white and Latinx, with a smaller number identifying as Asian, Black, Indigenous, mixed, or other. After recording the interviews and focus groups, I uploaded the transcripts into in vivo. I viewed them through intersecting lenses of my theoretical frameworks and used the constant comparative method to review the transcripts and identify codes that I then collapsed into multiple themes I'll be sharing in the next section. As I did this, I saw the convergence of inquiry, reflection, experience, and action, only possible through the dynamic of the participants' interaction with one another. My unit of analysis was the conversation between participants, and I used critical discourse analysis to see how teachers' beliefs and understandings of race and power influence their decisions in the classroom. I made meaning from the results of my analysis through what critical feminist theorists call catalytic validity, where the very process of conducting the research generates new knowledge that's greater than the sum of its parts. It's a synthesis that's made possible by the iterative interaction of words, thoughts, and actions by and among the participants in the study. Catalytic validity ruptures the image of a nameless scientist in a lab coat relying on supposed objective data. It acknowledges that no study can be completely objective, as there's always a lens through which every researcher must process their evidence. It affirms the validity of one's own truth without the need for external confirmation. The generative nature of autoethnography, focus groups, and interviews presented me with a theory grounded in these participant experts' experiences, one that has been foreshadowed in the literature and liberatory educational movements. I wouldn't be able to share this work with you today without the scholars who have done the work before me. Gloria Ladson-Billings first connected critical race theory to education. Her words from just a few weeks ago in a webinar illustrate the foundation of my findings, how teachers can move from doing DEI to being anti-racist teachers. The grounded theory I've identified, I'm calling anti-racism as stance. It means engaging in action and words that come from a core foundation of opposing the systemic oppression of racialized students, rather than just performative actions that yield public reward. It is continued, conscious commitment. It's a way of being, not performing, of embodiment of anti-racism, working from one's core passion, not an obligation. It describes the space we occupy, both literal and figurative, the relationships we cultivate, and involves our critical consciousness and a willingness to be vulnerable through inquiry, reflection, and intentional acts. Anti-racism as stance is finding the words for what critical race theorists and abolitionist teaching scholars have been asking of white teachers for decades. Based on my research, I just am giving it a name. It calls on teachers to engage in ongoing inquiry and reflection and to add in critical action in order to create the space for liberatory praxis. Anti-racism as stance invites teachers and students to co-create culturally sustaining learning spaces, a result of the interaction and discourse among educators striving to find solutions. It centers on the students, not the stuff of tests and standards. I modeled this on Cochran, Smith, and Lytle's inquiry as stance, teacher research that uses the metaphor of stance to describe both a physical presence in the learning space and a figurative perspective on how teachers' experience is processed through the lens of their expertise, recognizing teachers as scholars and generators of knowledge. When teachers work towards anti-racism as stance, they occupy a physical space among their students and colleagues, as well as project anti-racism. While this isn't a linear theory, there are several elements to anti-racism as stance, best illustrated in the participants' own words. All of the teachers expressed awareness of how our own whiteness was creating barriers to our students of color feeling welcome in our classrooms. This baseline awareness is key to developing anti-racism as stance. And then from this base, we expressed everything from surprise, frustration, and denial as we realized how our seemingly innocuous practices were established through the norm of whiteness and were not respectful to many of our students' ways of knowing. And I know I'm going to run out of time, so I'm going to go through these just to make sure that we touch on each one. The deprofessionalization of teaching has really removed a lot of the discretion from the teacher's toolbox. All of the teachers expressed kind of waiting to be told it was important to take this training. We're being conditioned to rely on direction rather than their own discretion in choosing curriculum or cultivating critical conversations in their classrooms. This is in part a result of all the neoliberal reforms and attempts to standardize teaching. The most exciting finding was that teachers are already enacting anti-racism as stance. As Laura said, who cares about the books? What about the structures? She's operating from this core belief and embodiment of being anti-racist. She not only recognizes structures creating obstacles, she puts aside fear of reprisal to act as an advocate for her students and families. She illustrates that it doesn't matter how many trainings we attend or representative books we have on our shelves, we have to address the structures and systems that have been put into American education. Laura's pronouncement was the key to my findings. She articulated a way of being and doing that mirrored my own goal of transformation. This theory presents as challenges. It's primarily, by definition, it is not a finite quantifiable thing. It can't be scored, rated, or checked off a list. It doesn't have an acronym. It's messy and iterative, and it's going to look different for every person, likely filling in one gap as it creates another. It's not equity in a can. It requires deep personal work that challenges our long-held beliefs. And I know I'm at the end of my time. So my recommendations are to get our pre-service teachers to start having these conversations. And I know you can do it because I do it every day in the classes that I teach. Listen to teachers. If you're district administrators and principals, to ask the teachers what they think they need rather than putting down canned professional development. And yeah, so build that into your administrative policies. This was definitely a small study. I think it's just the start of where I'm going with this work. And it's definitely not objective because of the type of methods that I used. There's definitely further study in all of these areas. And it definitely has applications to other fields, including inclusive science communication, early childhood, and human development. And this was a comment by one of my participants, and I think this vulnerable time is a perfect time for us to engage in this inquiry and reflection, because what else have we got to lose at this point? We're probably going to learn something. I have so much gratitude for the participants who took part in my conversations, my advisors, the lessons I've learned from my cohort and my colleagues. And I'll leave you with this quote from another recent webinar, that brave mistakes are better than inaction. So taking a shot at it is better than waiting till it's perfect. So sorry to rush through the end.
It's okay, Rosemary. Thank you so much for presenting that. We have just some in the chat, just some comments. Great work, Rosemary. Such an important topic. So again, I think Rosemary is going to stay on. So if you have questions for her, we can ask them after. Or again, please put information in the chat. So once again, thank you, Rosemary. If you can stop screen sharing for a minute.
I
Is
think
it
she
still
is.
sharing?
There you go. Thank you so much. Okay, so I would like to introduce you to our second presenter. Thank you for being here, Ryan Eisele. And the topic is, how do white teachers talk about facilitating conversations about race in their classrooms? So once again, Ryan, I think you have screen sharing. So
Right.
privileges. If you have questions, please again, write them in the chat, or we'll have a conversation when we conclude our session. So thank you, Ryan.
There you go. Happy to be here. Thank you so much. Can you see my screen? It says Fresno State. Everything
Yes,
good?
we
Okay,
can.
thank you,
Looks
Denise.
good.
Appreciate the
Looks
thumbs
good.
up.
Yeah.
Appreciate all of you being here on this Saturday morning. Good morning to everyone. It's an exciting week. I know Rosemary was defending her dissertation, and so was I. So it's been a very exciting week for both of us. We have very similar topics. The dissertation title here is White Teachers in a Perceived White District Discussing Race and Racism in Their Classrooms. Wanted to lead with a quote I felt was very important from Boyd and Glazier. White educators express fear over bringing up race or even allowing race-related conversations to take place in their classrooms for fear of the conversation heading in the wrong direction. And being a former white teacher, now currently a white administrator, I feel like this quote rang true. And having gone through the Fresno State doctoral program and having increased conversations about the importance of discussing race in the classroom led me to this dissertation topic. And while I worked with numerous participants, I felt as a participant myself as we were going through this process. So it was a very liberating and a great process for me and my development as well. A statement of the problem: racism is a pervasive part of American culture, and it is not an aberrant occurrence. White teachers have been able to avoid talking about race, while racism exists all around us, and we need to know what to address. Many white teachers are not comfortable, prepared, or willing to talk about race and racism in their classrooms, but it is central to educational leadership. My theoretical or conceptual framework is critical race theory, similar to Rosemary's. Race continues to be significant in the United States, while discussions of race and racism continue to be muted and marginalized. I'll go quickly through my literature review in order to make this a 15-minute presentation, but the literature review that supports this study is obviously based on critical race theory. Whiteness assumes the white culture is the accepted culture and is not in need of a racial label or identifier. Also, color blindness, naming uniqueness and illuminating individualism serve to address issues of equity that color blindness hides, and conversations about race. So asking questions and opening opportunities for teachers and students to take risks in sharing their stories and experiences is how to initiate conversations about race in the classroom. Okay, and culturally relevant teaching and leadership. Culturally responsive leaders develop and support the school staff and promote a climate that makes the whole school welcoming, inclusive, and accepting of minoritized students. Now, the purpose of this study, it is a case study, and it involves an in-depth contextual study of a person, people, issue, and place within a predetermined scope of the study. And this study takes place in a perceived white school district in Central California. My research questions are: how do white teachers talk about facilitating conversations about race and racism in their classrooms in a perceived white Central California school district? And what do white teachers have to say about navigating conversations about race and racism in their classrooms in a perceived white Central California school district? All right, the significance of this study is highlighted by the fact that nearly 250 years after the birth of our nation, over 150 years after the Civil War, and 50 years since the Civil Rights Movement, racism still permeates every facet of our society. Students in the midst of this painful reality use racially charged language and post racist pictures and comments and jokes. And there's a lack of understanding, a lack of accountability, and a lack of commitment to change this behavior. And this study will help to bring to light language trends and themes that contribute to passive behavior and behavior that only perpetuates our current racist state of society. All right, so my methods, again, is a descriptive case study and uses thematic analysis as a qualitative method in order to shed light on the importance of conversations about race and racism. Let's see. It takes place in a Central California school district, a school district of over 42,000 students. 38% Latino students, 38% white students, 14% Asian students, and 3.2% African American students. And again, in the title, it's a perceived white district. It's a white staff, but as you can see, it is more racially diverse, but is a perceived white district. My study explored the language and experiences of 8 white teachers in one Central San Joaquin Valley School District, relying on a stance of practitioner research. Potential risks to participants were minimal, as the teachers work within the same school district as I do, not at the same school site. I did interview 4 high school teachers and 4 intermediate school teachers. Again, I interviewed a middle school teacher who teaches English and history, a high school teacher who teaches PE, a middle school teacher who teaches English and history, a high school teacher who teaches English, a middle school electives teacher, a high school history teacher, a middle school science teacher, and a high school social science teacher. I had 5 teachers in the study who have taught more than 20 years and 3 teachers in the study who taught less than 10 years. And again, all white teachers. All right, in this study, I used a semi-structured dialogical interview system. I used 14 questions to guide the participants through their experiences of talking about race and racism in the classroom. It included 2 separate interviews with each participant, obviously over Zoom during this time to minimize risk during the COVID-19 pandemic. One of the participants was unable to participate in the second round of interviews. So there were a total of 15 interviews. There should have been 16 interviews, but we had 15 interviews. But I did include that teacher's data in the findings. I kept an ongoing reflexive journal throughout the research and created a qualitative code book to summarize my findings, and included member checking in order to ensure accuracy. Like Rosemary, I used in vivo to identify 20 codes. So after transcribing, the codes that came from a minimum of 8 of the 15 interviews and a minimum of 20 references were further analyzed and combined into themes. And I'll explain how I came to these themes. So intentional race talk was a very large overall theme that came from 14 of the 15 interviews. And in the first round of coding, there were 85 references in the 14 interviews. And after the second round of coding, there were additional references found. So after 2 rounds of coding, there were 96 references to the participants intentionally talking about race in 14 of the interviews. And intentional race talk was a code that was used when the teacher participants sought input, solicited a response, sparked interest, or purposefully made a move to initiate conversations about race or racism during the interview and in their classrooms. So what I did because of intentional race talk being such a large theme is I combined it with another theme called wanting change, which created a theme, conversations about race as a catalyst for change. And conversations about race as a catalyst for change was created by combining intentional race talk and the code wanting change. Wanting change was the code that was used when participants spoke up about the study, the conversation, or themselves being a catalyst for change in bringing about racial justice. So wanting change was found in 8 of the 15 interviews, and 25 references were made in the first round of coding. And in the second round of coding, there was an additional reference. So for an overall 26 references found in 8 interviews. And this was a theme where the participants were enthusiastic about the conversations about race in the classroom being a catalyst for change towards social justice and racial justice. The next theme is curriculum as driving conversations about race. This was formed by combining, again, the large code of intentional race talk combined with curriculum-driven conversations. And this code was used when teachers talked about using curriculum to start, enhance, or drive conversations about race and racism. It was also used to describe how curriculum may be limiting or reveal a teacher participant's view on existing or pending curriculum. And so teachers spoke openly about curriculum driving their conversations about race in the classroom. And when there was diverse curriculum available, it naturally lent to conversations about race in the classroom. And where there was not diverse curriculum resources available, to talk about race in the classroom did not feel as authentic, and it felt more forced. The next theme, educating students by recognizing and addressing racism, was created by combining, and again, intentional race talk with correcting behavior and the code teasing or joking. So the code correcting behavior was used when teacher participants described having conversations about race in their classroom and describing or correcting students or other people's behavior. And that was found after 2 rounds of coding. There were 30 references in 10 of the 15 interviews. And then teasing or joking, teachers talked about having conversations in the classroom. There were 8 references in 5 of the interviews, but the 3 of those codes were combined for the theme, educating students by recognizing and addressing racism. The next theme was district backing of conversations about race. And this was found by combining code careful, which is, I know, a very simple code, but careful, and district comments. So district comments is a code that was used when teacher participants made specific comments about the district in the area of race and racism. And careful was a code used when the teacher participant specifically mentioned having to be careful when discussing an issue as if they feared discipline or perceived a potential lack of support from administration or the board. And again, after 2 rounds of coding, there were 44 references about the district in 11 interviews. And talking about being careful, there were 31 references in 9 of the interviews to create the theme, district backing of conversations about race. Whiteness and colorblindness in conversations about race is another theme that came up by combining the 2 codes, whiteness and colorblind concepts. Whiteness was a code that was used for any teacher participant who mentioned white privilege, whiteness, or explicitly referred to being a white teacher and what that entailed. And after 2 rounds of coding, that was found, 27 references were found in 10 interviews. And colorblind concepts was a code used when teacher participants used colorblind concepts stating all students are seen the same way or all people are good inside no matter the skin color. And that was found after 2 rounds of coding, 21 references and 8 interviews. And again, that theme is whiteness and colorblindness in conversations about race. Professional development for discussing race and racism. That code alone was found after 2 rounds, 20 references in 9 of the 15 interviews. And that code was used when a teacher participant described the professional development they have received in the area of facilitating conversations about race and racism. And in the findings, I'll go into that in more depth, but the general consensus was that there is a great need for professional development and leading discussions about race and racism in the classroom. All right, racism and personal experiences of racism was a code that came through. It did not specifically answer my research questions, but one of the questions was to engage with the participants to ask them about any personal experiences with racism, any personal observations that they experienced. So after 2 rounds of coding, there were 29 references in 13 of the interviews about when teacher participants shared a personal experience with racism or a related experience they tied with developing empathy for those who experience racism. So that theme was discussing personal experiences with racism. So in all, there were 6 themes found: conversations about race as a catalyst for change, curriculum as driving conversations about race, educating students by recognizing and addressing racism, the district backing of conversations about race, whiteness and colorblindness in conversations about race, and then professional development. Interpretation of the findings. Under the first research question, how do white teachers talk about facilitating conversations about race and racism in their classroom in a predominantly, which was changed to perceived white Central California school district? Conversations about race as a catalyst for change. They spoke with enthusiasm about needing this change. District backing of conversations about race. There was a significant level of hesitancy, and whiteness and colorblindness in conversations about race. Let's see, I'm gonna hustle through interpretation of findings and get to my recommendations. What do white teachers have to say about navigating conversations about race and racism in their classrooms in a predominantly white Central California school district? These curriculum is driving conversations about race, educating students about recognizing and addressing racism and professional development or needs expressed by the teacher participants. The recommendations were for those to evaluate the district environment, to ensure that teachers, whether it was in this particular district or other districts, whether they feel comfortable and supported to initiate and facilitate conversations about race in the classroom, to explore curriculum offerings and commit to a diverse core and supplemental curriculum offering, and to invest in a robust culture of professional development to support teachers in initiating conversations about race. Again, professional development, system of support for teachers, and teacher racial discourse are to be supported by administration. And implications for future research. Research through a case study, any pockets of successful professional development in the area of social justice. That was a definite need expressed through this study. CRT supported research using stories of minoritized teachers and how they discuss conversations about race and racism, and research student experiences, hearing from the voices of white students and minoritized students about discussing race and racism in the classroom. Okay, limitations. The interview protocol was semi-structured, and due to the open-ended dialogical nature of the conversations that took place, each interview is slightly different. Participants may have viewed me as an authoritative figure in their lives since I'm a principal in the district where they work as teachers, thus resulting in telling me what they think I want to hear. To mitigate this fear of authenticity, I established rapport through casual conversations leading up to the interviews, and we met 2 times for interviews rather than once to establish familiarity. All right. At the conclusion of the study, conversations about race as a catalyst for change in social justice and racial justice. We need to improve the teacher's ability to have those conversations and create the environment within a district where teachers feel supported to have those conversations, and where white teachers who feel uncomfortable to have those conversations can have those conversations. And ultimately, there is a lot of practical use for this as a white administrator, to reflect on that type of environment at not only my school site, but within my school district. And just want to thank you all for your time this morning. I appreciate you all attending this session. It's a very important topic.
Thank you so much, Ryan. We've got a couple of comments in the chat. If you can stop sharing your screen, Ryan. Couple of chats. Great job, Rosemary and Ryan. A valuable work for our for our profession. Rosemary and Ryan, your work is exceptional. Thank you for analyzing and presenting on this critical topic. Your research and leadership are powerful and needed to recognize and addressing the problem. I would also, again, just like to repeat what everyone else is saying. We know that, Latino children in California represent about 55% of the K-12 population. So addressing this issue is so extremely, extremely important. We have, it's 55% Latino, about 23% white, and 9% Asian, followed by about 4% of our African American population. So again, just some thank yous for sharing. We do have, if you don't mind staying on, about 2 or 3 minutes, Ryan and Rosemary, in case anybody has any questions.
I have one for Rosemary. Can you elaborate more on why you would teach teachers to be racist?
Oh, I wouldn't teach teachers to be racist. I want to
Oh,
teach them
okay.
to be anti-racist. But what I'm saying is that the content in a lot of the textbooks and a lot of the materials that a lot of what is going on in teacher education comes to it from a deficit mindset, and it comes to it in comparing everybody else to whiteness norms. And so I was using that. I don't use that textbook in my class anymore, but that's just one example of the kinds of things that are out there. And when we say that, when we get too focused on a standardized student, I mean, I've never met a standardized person in my life. You know, every child is different. And we have to take a real serious look at our curriculum. And that's why what I am training my teachers to do is to ask these critical questions. And for example, in my course right now, I ask students to look at it from the perspective of a child who might be from a different lived experience than their own, and how might they be impacted by the content and the way that things are being presented. And it's shocking to see how we just are taking in all this information without asking these questions. So yeah, that's I'm saying that if we don't change it, we're going to continue putting out people who don't respect our students. And I see it right now in my own, my college students who talk about their experiences that were a lot like what Dr. Jimenez Sandoval said this morning about his own, about being discouraged and put aside. Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
We have another comment in the chat. Congratulations, Ryan and Rosemary. You've completed your defense. You're probably ready to go have some fun and get this over with. So again, I really appreciate you being here with us today and not being celebrating yet. Another one, just, again, thank you. And thank you so much from the presenters. I don't know if everybody who's here, if you'd like to show your faces, we could take a big photo shot out there. I don't know if anybody wants to yet, but yes, please do. These are nice backgrounds too. So you're all looking very nice today. And it's not over for Ryan and Rosemary. I do hope you publish and continue to share your information. So.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share.